Hi, and thanks for joining us. My name is Tom Brownigal with Keller Williams Realty, part of the Brownigal team, and I'm here with my good friend Mark Stern.
Hi, Tom.
Mark, a core partner with us, does most of our short sales closings, and certainly a valued resource to the team. And what we wanted to talk about real quick is what do we do and how do we handle a client who is in a situation where they're having some financial difficulties. Okay, they can't keep up with their mortgage. I hear it all the time. There's, they can't make their payments. They're running out of their savings accounts, and they can't continue to stay where they are because they can't meet their financial obligations. And they say, Tom, what can I do? And so let me ask you, Mark, what can they do?
Well, Tom, what you're describing is a very common scenario these days, and we're dealing with it a lot, where people are finding themselves in a financial position where they can't continue their current lifestyle and need to make a change. Something's happened in their life. They've had a loss of job, a decline in income. Somebody's gotten sick. They can't continue to work. Or somebody's had another baby and they've lost the dual income that they used to have on a house, and they just can't afford to continue to carry the debt that they've been carrying. And they need to make a change, and there's really only a couple options. Most people, of course, try to sell their home first and then find out that the house isn't worth as much as they had hoped it would be, and that they can't sell the house without having short funds to accomplish the sale. And they find themselves either facing foreclosure or of taking proactive steps and of initiating a short sale process. Most people try to do a modification. They'll contact the bank, try and work something out, and ultimately find that it's just a band-aid or that it's not going to work in the long run, and they end up having to do a short sale on the property. And people often ask, well, should I do a short sale, or should I just let the house go into foreclosure? And unfortunately, many people let houses go into foreclosure, and it is about the most fiscally irresponsible, destructive thing you could possibly do. When you go into foreclosure, people think that the process is going to come to an end, that they're going to walk away.
Right.
Foreclosure is really a process, and it's a fairly lengthy process. It takes quite a bit of time to go through all the steps to get to the point where the bank has actually taken the house away. And more often than not, even when the bank has taken the house away, that still doesn't satisfy the debt. And people are then faced with a deficiency judgment where they're still owing money to the bank in excess of the property, above and beyond the property, that they're not getting to walk away from the property, that forces them to spend additional time and resources still dealing with the debt for a house that they no longer occupy or own. When we go through a short sale process, we negotiate with the bank to secure a release, to get the bank to agree to accept what is being offered as full compensation for the debt and to let the borrower walk away.
Okay, so kind of a synopsis. When I go through a foreclosure, most people think that, you know what, the problem's not mine. I'm going to hand over the keys and give it to the bank. I'm going to walk away and I'm done. Are you telling me that's not the case?
That is far from the case. It is a common misconception, but at the end of a foreclosure, you're still faced with a deficiency judgment. You're still faced with creditors who are continuing to report to the credit bureaus that there is a non-payment, that there is a deficiency, that you have this outstanding obligation for the balance of the debt. And the only way that people can deal with it is either to come up with a substantial sum of money to buy their way out of that debt, to pay it off in some fashion, which defeats the whole purpose of walking away from the property, or they find themselves filing bankruptcy because they can't continue on this path and they can't deal with the creditors, and the credit scores have continued to have been affected well beyond the foreclosure.
Wow. Okay. So I'm a client, or I'm a homeowner, and I decide I'm going to walk away from my mortgage. I'm going to let the bank take over. They're going to foreclose on the property, and then I'm hearing that my problems now begin. Can the bank actually open up a deficiency judgment and come after me for the difference?
Well, in Connecticut and many other states as well, the banks are allowed to get a deficiency judgment for you, against you in the foreclosure process that attaches beyond the property. The foreclosure is about taking the property out of the hands of the borrower and putting it back in the bank's hands. That oftentimes does not satisfy the debt, and the bank is not required to discharge that balance in foreclosure. They are allowed to, they are entitled to, and more often than not do pursue deficiency judgments. And then they take those judgments, either pursue them themselves where they can attach assets, attach bank accounts, attach paychecks for people to continue to try and collect on those debts. They are sending them out to collection agencies.
Wow.
They are, while all this is going on, for months if not years past the date of foreclosure, they're still trying to collect on this deficiency and still reporting derogatory information to the credit bureaus about your performance.
Wow. So if I go through this lengthy process, I go through a foreclosure, I hand the keys over, I think I'm done, right? But not really, because the bank has to then take that house, turn it into a real estate owned property, which can take months,
Yes.
a year, potentially, and you're still getting derogatory remarks on your credit. So your credit's still in the tanker.
It's not just in the tanker, it's still continuing to go down
Gotcha.
at that point. Because
Right.
every month while you have that outstanding obligation, the bank is continuing to report month after month
Wow.
that you have this delinquency.
So this process, and then the bank comes after me for the money once they enter their deficiency judgment. Do I have to pay them?
Well, they will do everything that they can to attach whatever assets you have.
Huh.
They can garnish wages. And it's something that never goes away and will continue to follow you, that the only way you can deal with it or get out from under it is through bankruptcy.
Gotcha.
And by filing bankruptcy, you're now starting a whole nother process, which is going to take 6 months to a year, if not longer, that will continue to drive your credit report, your credit scores, further down than where they already are.
Wow. So it sounds like the foreclosure route is a lengthy process. It's a painful process. It's a process that will get my credit into disrepair pretty quickly, and it's not as easy as just handing the keys over, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, filing or letting a house go into foreclosure is about the most destructive thing you can do to your fiscal house, to your finances. It's something that the banks view as you're walking away from your obligations, you're leaving them holding this problem that they've now got to deal with. And credit is about history and about responsibility. And when the credit bureaus in the future, when future creditors are looking back, they're looking at your history and your performance, and they view that as an indicator of your future performance. And when you've walked away from your obligations in the past, to them it's an indicator that you might do something like that again in the future.
Got it.
While when you do a short sale, you're attempting to take the bull by the horns. You're
Right.
trying to manage the situation you're in.
Okay.
You're
So-
trying to be responsible
Right.
and not leave them in a situation where they're forced to spend thousands of dollars foreclosing on a property.
Yeah. Mark, thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Tom.
Talk to you later.